Welcome to Geek Philosophy, where we love geeky wisdom, and you have reached our Relics of the Ancients, Session 8, Behind the Screens. And if you are one of my players, quit watching. Everybody else, let's get rolling. Okay, so, yeah, we had a pretty impactful, I think, session this time. This was where we were coming off of the battle with Zrisha, and there were some things that happened in between sessions. So what I wanted to do from a GM perspective was slow the pace a little bit. So this was a chance to have a session with zero combat, and still have it be rewarding for the players to have a little bit of payoff as to what's going on, and give them a chance to plan a little bit for what's going to happen next. So started with a big introduction that I normally give, a little bit more than usual, because I wanted to make sure that the viewers also know that we had some things happen in between sessions. All of the players had messaging back and forth via email to explain what they wanted to do. There were individual messages that I sent to some of the players playing individual characters. There were group messages that I sent so everybody would know. And this is a really good way of keeping the story moving in between sessions, but also to give a little bit of a singling out of information and making the players feel as if they are special in that one aspect. So we had a sending spell that went from Spiros to Carrie's character Henrik. We had the Talem, which is Alora's jewelry that she found / newly awakened weapon that revealed itself more now that they were traveling together, and there was basically the opportunity for Alora to bond with the weapon. So so attunement in D&D 5e standards, but I didn't want it to just be you've attuned with this item. I wanted it to be revealed in a way that felt like the story was moving forward, and I think that went well. I also put together another dream video. This one didn't have any narration. It was just meant to be images. By the way, let me just stop and say, one of the best resources that you can use as a DM if you need to do any graphic design, or you need a library of content that you can use for putting together quick things like this video, or the Donrin Ruin puzzle that you saw. I used Canva, and Canva is great. I am not, this isn't sponsored, I'm not an affiliate of them right now, so, or at least at the time of this video. So I highly recommend them. There's a free account, but the pro account gives you so much more. And so some of those video clips were actually part of my Canva subscription, and I was able to pull them in, cut it in a way where it felt as if it all merged together, and it really worked well, I think, especially if you take an audio track. In YouTube Studio, you can go to the music section and download tracks that you can use for free, and they're royalty free, so you don't have to worry about adding copyright. It's good stuff. Anyway, so that was a way of kind of bringing them forward. I also wanted to give them a chance to do other tasks that they hadn't been able to do, like shop and do some research on some things. So having them be in a city and knowing that in between sessions they were able to do some things was a pretty useful structure and way to calm things down a little bit. Then you'll notice that I'm not doing a whole lot of scene response or encounter response here at the beginning, because it was really a matter of giving them a chance to breathe. So I knew that they were going to go to their meeting in the library, so I had an NPC that I used, Describe. I'm not affiliated with them either, but great tool, and you can do a search for librarian, and a description will pop up, and you can cobble things together and make it your own. So that's what I did. Same thing with the library description and the grand study. So these are things that I was able to leverage existing content and adjust and reword and use in my own way. So I wanted to be able to describe things as they move into the library and really paint the picture of where they're going. Then it was being able to meet with Spiros, who they have not seen since the first game. So this is now session 8. They haven't seen this guy since session 1. So Yeah, it was a big deal. Also, little world building. I have in my world, I've got when you go through character prologue, you can roll to see what some of your favorite food was, and it's based on the region that you're in. They're in the Benin Commonwealth, so I made sure to include some things that are common here, just to have a little extra world building. So, this is my take on how to handle things when you're trying to do an info dump. Don't do an info dump. Don't just throw it all at them at once. Let them ask questions, let things pop up as much as you can. And in a way, you end up doing this information dump on them, but because they're asking for the information, it feels less like you're throwing it at them. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully it worked. I think it did. So I have notes, and each one of these goes to a list of notes for these characters. So when the character was brought up, I knew I would click over if I needed to pull any other information in. I've got, the connections between the characters, a little bit of the backstory. One of the other things I wanted to do was I knew that Terrence was going to be a member of the Athenaeum because of his previous training. He actually graduated from there. And so I had, again, backstory information set for him. This was a big reveal about the half-brother, but instead of having Spiros give all that information, if they were going to bring him up and ask about them, I was going to say that Spiros had already called him. He's going to be meeting him there. Why? Because he doesn't know he's involved, and he has the ability to track those students that left with the Mark of the Graduate. And the Mark of the Graduate is a tattoo. You may have noticed that in 5e and a lot of other systems, they'll use magical tattoos. This is a homebrew one, and it's the symbol of the Athenaeum. It gives you some bonuses for armor class and things like that. And it's sort of a handy thing. The other thing that it does is it allows the Athenaeum to track you. So anybody that has a Mark of the Graduate can be scried upon, and their location is known. So he was able to call him in and get word to him and have him come there too. They were not expecting that, and that confrontation was interesting. So rather than have Spiros reveal things about Terrence, Terrence revealed things about Terrence to the group. Interesting. Also, instead of just doing an info dump with one character, I also revealed that at least my world's version of Warforged constructs were made by the Donran Empire. And they are asleep until they're awakened, and when they're awakened, they have very little memory of what happened in the past other than their one true purpose, and then they're blank slate. The characters, if they're played by a player, they can take that construct and play it as if they are any other character, any class, any backstory they'd like to have as far as what they can build off from there. For me, though, I just wanted to make sure that I had a chance to add him in. This also gives me a chance to give the potential fourth party member for a limited amount of time. So Temper is the protector of House Medeiros, and he is a Warforged warrior. I've adjusted this slightly. I've gave him some different actions than what is already in the warrior sidekick stat block. Almost all of it's the same, but I added in Shield Bash as a bonus action, in addition to his longsword attached. So I took away the ability for him to fire ranged, just gave him longsword and shield, and gave him a Shield Bash action, or bonus action. He also has some reactions that he can do. And this is the one for the protection that is built into the warrior sidekick. I really like these sidekick guys. I mean, it's great. So where I'm actually going with this is by the end of this session, after they've gotten all the information about what's going on with the Shadow Seekers, and the way I did this was a unique to my previous methods skill challenge. Instead of it being skills that all the characters had, I made this so if the players remembered something and they were correct, they got a bonus to a single roll that I was going to make. If they remembered something incorrectly, they got a minus to that roll. And I had already set some DC, so I was the one making the roll, but they were, as we went around in this ritual, adding memory to it, and it was sort of a psychic bond type thing, they were giving themselves a better chance. And so for the better the roll, the more specific they were able to find the shadow seekers. So if they had gotten less than 10, wasn't going to happen. They would not know the location at all. 10 would have given them the Eldritch Commonwealth. 20 would have given them the city. 25 would have given them a better location, and then 30 gave them the exact spot where they're supposed to be. And it just so happens that it was also the same excavation site where they found Temper. So I think by the end of this, they were satisfied that they could find them. They were a little worried that Terrence was taking, or Spiros was taking Terrence back with him, but they wanted to go confront the Shadow Seekers and stop them from what they were doing. So yeah, we're going to be picking up from them actually using a teleportation circle to get there. Again, you guys, if you watched it, which hopefully you did, you know how that went. So all right, so that was that session, and I had a blast running that one. It was good to see if any of the things I had been planning were surprising. One of them was at least the half-brother situation. I think was a good one. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the next game. We only really have 2 scheduled sessions left, Session 9 and Session 10, so I think a lot of it's going to happen in the next game. So, all right, wish me luck, wish my players luck, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.